Veronica Wheel, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolute wonderful poet. She lives in Queensland, and she wrote this beautiful poem about what actually happened. Sometimes when adults can't get animals to do what they like, a small child can. So she wrote this poem and she gave me permission to do it anywhere I'd like, so I'd just like to do this for you this evening. It's called The Breaker's Tale. Breaking horses has been my trade for more than 20 years. Skill and knowledge bought and paid with my blood and sweat and tears. Roan and piebald, grey and black, chestnut, brown or bay, draft, thoroughbred, pony or hack, they all had come my way. Some were stupid, but some had brains, and in time's allotted span, they bowed their heads to the leather chains and the servitude of man. With patience, kindness, and a little force, their load they were taught to bear, and I never failed to break a horse till I met with that chestnut mare. Born way out on the western plains with the earth and the sky collide, and the fire of freedom filled her veins with a fierce and stubborn pride. Born of a renegade station mare and a rebel Brumby sire, and a savage temper to match the flare of a coat that burned like fire. The Brumbies fled as the stockwoods cracked one day in the early morn. They galloped blindly, bunched and packed, and we yarded them all mid-morn. We drafted, sorted and culled the mob in a welter of hide and hair, and after we finished, I started that job of breaking the chestnut mare. I started slowly, as I recall, for I wanted to win her trust. I knew some tricks, and I used them all, but she dashed my hopes to dust. I was the enemy, hated and feared, and she fought me with all she knew. In her flying hooves she kicked and reared, and the dust and the curses flew. Attack was the only defence she had, and her heart was filled with hate. She fought like a demon, blinded and mad with a fury that wouldn't abate. I was a breaker of some renown, but my courage began to fail when 5 days running she threw me down and smashed me against a rail. At the sight of men she went wild with rage, but she saved the worst for me as she fretted and pined in her wooden cage for the plains where she longed to be. She would never submit, and I tossed and I turned as I lay on my bed at night, while deep within me the conflict burned as I fought my moral fight. I knew in my heart she deserved to live, with a spirit no man could tame, but the baser side of me couldn't forgive that she'd sullied my nerve and my name. In the grey of the morn, my injured pride refused to admit she had won, and I went to that mare that I couldn't ride, and I carried a loaded gun. They had in the yard a wisp of white, and I stopped with a sudden start, and a wave of terror gripped me tight and fastened around my heart. The boss's daughter, just 3 years old, was calmly standing there with her laughing eyes and her curls of gold in the yard with the chestnut mare. I raised the gun, but the rails were high and partly obscured my aim. I stood like stone, for a word or a cry could have set that mare aflame. And in less than the time it takes to tell of my anguish and dumb despair. "Pretty girlie," said little Nell, and she patted the chestnut mare. The mare was trembling, but stood her ground, and my mind was all a whirl as she brought her lovely head around to nuzzle that little girl. Did she sense the love? Did she sense the innocence that came from that tiny mite? Nell fondled the velvet nose above and gurgled with sheer delight. "Bye-bye, horsey," she softly said, and crawled through the stockyard gate. I ran to meet her with arms outstretched with a joy I could scarce relate. I held her tight and turned about, and the gate threw open wide. With a buck and a whinny, that mare flew out in a blur of chestnut hide. The station fences that stood nearby she cleared like a bird in flight, and we watched her galloping, Nell and I, till she disappeared from sight. And now that mare is wandering free, out where the Brumbies dwell, for she's spared the life of a little child, and she saved her own as well.